As with all testing patches, all of the content listed below is subject to change and may or may not end up making it to the live server or may be adjusted in some fashion. Players should be civil with their feedback, not change their behavior on the live server based on any of the proposed changes, as there's no guarantee any of these will make changes. Yeah. They're already preparing for a lot of people. Oh, the dungeon itself will be the Sanctuary dungeon. And then faster respawn, that's cool. Okay, so I see what it is. It's a region bonus. It's the Sanctuary dungeon. That's I like that. I like that. But I mean, it is cool though if you think about it, because like Nucero would be the dungeon that has no monsters up. Now that population is going to be split quite a bit, right? Because a lot of new players would always run to the experience gain dungeon. And now they will be going to the Sanctuary dungeon and still the experience dungeon. So it's going to split that, because you're going to have two really sought after weekly bonuses. So it's actually kind of splitting that population a little bit. The way they did that's very good. The way they did that is very good, actually. That's awesome. The way they see, what did I say earlier? I said, but you know what? However Outlands does it, I know they'll do it the right way. And there you have it. There you have it. Props to them, man. Props to them. During Friday night reset each week, one of our core dungeons will be randomly selected. Yep, becomes protected. As a trade-off, loot drops and experience earned in Sanctuary dungeon will be reduced. Okay, we thought that too. Current Sanctuary dungeon will always be listed at the top of the region bonus so the players can access. Okay, so it'll always be at the top. Okay. Players can also view Sanctuary dungeon from any donation map. Yeah, we know that. Mechanics. Okay, players cannot commit any criminal actions while inside the Sanctuary dungeon. Gold values of creatures and dungeon chests inside of the Sanctuary dungeon will be reduced to 50% of normal. Yeah. Murderers cannot get in. Murderers already inside of a dungeon when it becomes active will be ejected to Corpse Creek. There will not be society jobs generated for Sanctuary dungeon. Guilds will not be able to activate guild favors for a Sanctuary dungeon. If a guild already has a favor activated, and the guild has 50% more of its duration remaining, it will be refunded to the guild. We are removing the existing murder penalty system that scales resurrection fees and dungeon restrictions based on the dungeon level in which victims are killed. And now we do. When a player commits a murder and is reported for it, that player's murder fee will be a default to 1,000 gold. However, if the victim is able to report more than one player for their murder, the murder fee will be increased by 250 gold per additional player and be on the list. So that's accomplices. Gotcha. So like if I run down there with 4 friends, then that's a 2,000 murder fee. 2,000 gold murder fee. So if I fucking eliminate this new player in level 1 with 4 of my friends, 3 of my friends, then I spent 2,000 gold. All of us did. $8,000 total. 8,000 gold total between all 4 of us. So hopefully that guy that us 4 just murdered had 8,000 gold or more on him. And whether that be gold or materials or what have you. Yeah, and see, there you go. They just gave that same example. The Wilderness is now treated like a standard dungeon for the purpose of aggression restrictions and has no difference in handling compared to dungeons. Murder region restrictions. If a player murders... I'm going to alt F. There we go. Come back in a minute. If a murderer dies in a punishment... different. Dang, dude, this thing is struggling to close. I don't really know why. Okay, there we go. Yeah, close the program. Cancel. All right, there we go. The duration of all these region restrictions will be 30 minutes plus 15 minutes per highest accomplice count. Okay. Yeah, so those are in order to keep murderers from banding together in the big zergs or whatever. Okay. Example, following actions all occur within 60 minutes. Player commits a murder by themselves in Palma. Then the player commits a murder with 2 players in Wilderness. Then the player commits a murder with 5 other players in Ossuary. Then the player is killed in Darkmire Temple. The player's highest accomplice count for any murder during the last 60 minutes is 4 players. Because there was 4, okay. For their murder committed in Ossuary with 5 people. Player will now have an aggression restrictions of 30 plus 15 times 4. So, yep, because 15 times 4 and then plus the 30 is 90 minutes. Applied to Palma, Wilderness, and Ossuary. So again, and that was within the last 60 minutes. Okay. Slaying murders. When a slain murderer resurrects and pays their murder fee, the player that killed the murderer will receive anywhere from 25 to 50% randomized of the paid murder fees as gold added directly to their bank box. It was usually a 33%. Rebalances, damage resistance. Players and tame summoned creatures are now capped at a maximum of 75% damage resistance on any given individual damage received unless a effect specifically reduces the amount damage to 1, such as Last Stand Parry Finisher was max of 80%. Damn, sweet. You just got 5% easier to kill on my thief with monsters. Just kidding. Alright, well, not really, I'm not. Disordinance. The effectiveness of Disordinance effects on creatures will now scale to be the Bard's printed Disordinance skill, 120% of. If a creature has multiple disco effects on it in place on it from multiple bards, players will receive the disco effect of the player with the highest printed disco skill. Okay. Success chances and effective durations for disco will continue to utilize the player's EBS. Okay, gotcha. A player that has an effective EBS skill of 130 but a printed Discord of 90. This player has a soul bard putting a disco effect onto a creature. Barding effects on the creature will be 75% of normal. Sorry, my alter ego. I know he's pissed. Oh, bro. My favorite bard template just fucking got thrown in the gutter. Well, not in the gutter, but... I mean, I always was curious about that because, like, disco was always just like, it's either a pass or a fail. It's going to do the same amount. And so now it's not going to quite do that. I think that's fair. I don't like it, obviously, because I've always loved Disordinance, but I've also always said, like, Disordinance is the most powerful skill in the game, so can I not say that I saw it coming, right? I mean, yeah. Wow. Oh, man, that's juice right there. I'm sorry, my alter ego. I know you're not happy with that. Parry Codex. Parry finishers will now only potentially trigger when a player is at 33% health or lower. So the Parry Codex got nerfed. Okay. Yeah, the Parry Codex is very beefy. Summoned creatures. Water. Okay, so their bleed and disease resist increased. Now has a maximum of 15% damage resistance that now applies to all damage types. Earth and Mummy. Their bleed and disease reduced. Stonewall upgrade now increases damage resist 2.5 to a maximum of 20 damage resistance. Now applies to all damage types. Earth Pool, Summoner's Tome, maximum 50. Yes, so they, yeah. Hit points, base hit points for the following summon types have been adjusted as follows. Reduced to 400, reduced to 300, reduced. Earth. Nope, so summons got nerfed. Not surprised, summons have always been like super powerful. Just really leaving tamers in the dust. Okay. Yeah, all these I'm not like a surprised about. Amish says I don't like the damage reduction and nerf to the parry finisher. Yeah, I knew you wouldn't. You knew you wouldn't. But I mean, it's just kind of like all of those. It's like, yeah, I mean, they hurt, right? Because they're nerfs. Nerfs never feel good. Nerfs never feel good. But I also, in all of them, I'm just kind of like, saw it coming. You know, I don't even want to say saw it coming. Just like always knew that a lot of this stuff was really powerful. Like summons have always just been like super powerful, beefy even. The parry codex, super powerful. Damage resistance, super powerful. I mean, you're taking 2 damage from like physical damage monsters, Amish. Discoordinates, like I've always been like, dude, that's so weird that. Well, I haven't thought it was weird. It's just like, you know, it's a pass or fail, and it's like, you know, you can, as long as you can successfully bard it, it's taken the full thing, and a lot of people didn't realize that anyways. And so they, you know, like on my bard Noxcrow, the reason I put it at 120 originally was because I didn't know that. I just thought that more disco meant more damage reduction and more damage increase to that particular thing. And then I found out it wasn't, and then it's like, oh, okay, great. So I can just lower my barding if I know I'm not going to try to bard massive demons and stuff like that. That's why my alter ego's build is so amazing, because he doesn't run high disco, because it's a pass or a fail. Same with Provo, it's a pass or a fail. And so I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. I can't say that I don't agree with it. Does it hurt? Does it suck? Fuck yeah, it does. But guess what? It makes the game more difficult. And you got people like Zara, like sitting there in general chat, upset because he goes into Moss 4 and he's soloing the place, and he's like, I want this game to be hard. And my response to him was, well, take off some of your links. You've got 30 links, bro. You know, and they're all gold or corrupted even. And it's like, you know, and I get not everybody is at that point. There is more and more people every day, though. But at the same time, man, those are, you know, a lot of those things that they change there. It's just kind of like, not surprised. Not surprised. I mean, let's be honest, Amish. The game's pretty easy in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean? True, but I am tanking it, not a summon. Any defensive nerf to a Dexter is just devastating. Sadly, shit hurts really bad now. Yeah, so the game got a little bit more difficult now. You know what I mean? When you can put on your Twitch stream, chill stream, and you can turn on Earth Aspect and your parry codex and bulwark, and just sit there and not move. And be like, okay, this monster has a lot of hit points. I'm going to go get some water. I'll be right back, guys. Hope I don't get PK'd. And you got like 4 monsters beating on you. Like, come on. You know what I mean? There's a little bit to be said about that. You know, there's a little bit to be said about that. Group damage tolerance. Once a player, this is for PvP mechanics. Once a player has taken 4 sources of player damage, okay? So 4 different people are attacking one person within a 1-second window. Each further player-based damage occurring within that same window will have a cumulative 10% damage applied to it, up to a maximum of 90% penalty. Damage coming from players who fly green to the player will not be considered. Yeah, I'm glad they put that in. That could have been really fucked with. Okay. So let's see here. An E-Bolt... 10%. I mean, so you can still sync dump and get somebody down. You can still sync dump somebody pretty well, up to a maximum of 90% penalty. Okay. Example, within a 1-second window, a player A is hit with 2 explosion spells and 2 energy bolt spells, which will happen. So that's actually, 4 sources. Okay, good. A poison tick, an explosive potion, and 2 bow hits. No damage for the first 4 hits. But then 10, 20, 30, 40. So it's like if you don't sync them, then they're going to be taking a pretty big damage hit. Oh, but that's only within a 1-second window. Okay. Contested Hamstring, the duration of hamstring mechanic is increased to 5 seconds when applied to players who flag orange to each other. Duration is increased? Oh, in a contested. Okay. Only in a contested. Only during oranges. Okay. So, like, if I ward somebody or they're orange. Got it. So, PvP events. Magic skill resist. If a player is hit by a damaging spell cast by another player, they will recover 25% base skill of the mana cost of the spell amount rounded down. Damaging spell cast by another player, they will recover, and boom. If a player is hit by an AoE spell by another player, the amount of mana recovered will be divided by the number of total hit down. Players will not be able to recover mana from spells cast by other players who flag green to them. Poison ticks will not be considered as spell damage. However, poison sting damage resulted from a failed poison upgrade will still count as spell damage and will allow for mana recovery. Okay. Inscription. If a player has a protection or arc protection in place, they will now have a 30 chance to avoid spell interrupts caused by melee hits. I wonder if that also plays an effect, and it does, because this is under PvP mechanics. So, Inscription is finally going to be, and has a chance to remain in place after a player casts his spell. So, wow. Inscription is a very good PvP skill now. For defensiveness, especially. Wow, that's awesome. Okay. That's very cool. Secondary weapon skills have multiple valid weapon skills on the character. They can qualify for damage bonuses and potentially unlock the hamstring ability. So this made the double weapon thing viable. That's cool. Oh, and it even has some PVM bonuses. If a player has 2 or more valid weapon skills, they can hamstring attempts against creatures. Players receive 25% second melee damage against bonus creatures. Okay. And then now for PvP bonuses, they gain 10%. Wasn't it 20% before? Arena. I'm not even going to mess with Arena too much because I don't really know much about it. I guess it looks like a lot of ELO tracking. Now be fully randomized. Okay, so yeah, if it's not a tournament, it's not going to be ELO'd. If during a tournament round a buy round is needed, it will be given the player or the team the highest lifetime tournament ELO. Unarmed wrestling sings will now count towards hits and misses for the purposes of stats tracking. Okay, I'm going to skip past that. Alright, factions. Handicaps. Players will no longer receive handicap bonuses for making progress towards weight. I'm so out of touch with factions since that first week. It was so much fun, though. I need to get back into it, especially for some of the cool gear, the cosmetic gear. Players can now earn up to 150 faction score from control over waypoints. Wayposts was 100. Players will now earn 1 more aspect experience for every 3 faction score they earn waypost controlled. That's good. Anytime a waypost is earned, a return to 100% control, even if they did not change factions, the waypost will become locked for 2 minutes. Flag stealing. Players can now earn up to 150 score. Flag verification, 75 score instead of 50. So gain more faction score now. Player kills, can't gain any within a minute, but you used to be able to within 5. Faction score base, yeah, because you can just keep zerging it. Makes sense. Upgraded player kills occurring near are worth 200 points. Oh, nice. Defending is Gucci. Killing a flag carrier is now worth 300 score. Kills to give. Players now restore 1 kill to give for every hour. Restore 1 kill to give for every 50 faction score, and can now see how many kills to give they currently have at the bottom of page 1. Gotcha. Players cannot earn faction score, stealing attempts, and picked up, dropping. Okay. I'm going to skip past all this. I really don't know what's going on in factions these days. I need to read up on it, play it again, things like that. Sorry, guys, if you want to know about factions. I just don't know a lot of it. Wow, man. Wow. A lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff. So the Sanctuary Dungeon is a good thing. I'll be honest with you, man. I really was like I thought they were just going to make a new dungeon and call it Sanctuary Dungeon. But instead, I like what they're doing here. And I talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but I like it because it's going to be a rotating thing. Used to, it was always the experience dungeon. It's like experience and gold, really. And now there's faster respawn rate. I even forgot about talking about that in there earlier, too. Man, that's cool. So, like, there's the crowded dungeons. There's going to be 3 of them now instead of 1. So they added 2 really popular perks that people are going to flock to, and they kept the most popular one, which is experience gain. Of course, gold is good too, and special items. It looks like, did they get rid of special items and stuff? Which really, yeah, it's been replaced too, which makes sense, man. That's good. So, I mean, that's cool, man. I think those are cool. It's gonna diversify the population, right? And meaning that they're gonna filter out into more places. I do think Sanctuary will be the most popular one. Keep in mind their loot is reduced by 50%, but I think it'll be great for a new player just trying to, understand the world and things like that. I can't wait until one Whiskey Saturday when I recall into a Sanctuary dungeon, and then I'm trying to figure out why I can't steal from the person. I know it's going to happen. But it's pretty cool. We'll see how it goes. I'm for it. I really am. I'm for it. I think that's cool. That way they don't feel segregated because they want to do. They don't want to get fucked up by people. I know that the issue is going to be, man, I hate that my loot's reduced. I feel like I know there's going to be a lot of complaints, but I mean, there's complaints in anything, man. There's complaints in anything you do, and I just hope that this does what they're looking for, which is help to retain some of those people that are quitting because they feel like they just get PK'd all the time. So I think it's great for somebody just kind of gaining some aspects starting out, early levels of aspect. Maybe you don't have a codex or what have you. I think it's great for that person trying to make their mark, gain some some income starting out. So cool deal, man. All the time you tried to steal the blessed shoes. Yeah, I did, man. I've done that quite a bit, actually. I've done that quite a bit. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Awesome. Boom. And Wilderness PvP lockout is great. Says Amish will encourage people to PvM Overworld more often. Yeah. I like PvM and Overworld, but I will say that I do run into PKs much more in the Wilderness than I do. But I also farm in like super high traffic PK areas, like demon spawns. And so, but yeah, man, good stuff. Good job, Outlands.
Smart.